Today we have another tape deck. This time it's a Nota MP-220S, Kalashnikov of tape decks. Sadly, not because of being insanely reliable, but rather because of the sound it makes. The machine got into production in 1987. That was the deck I got for myself a while ago, and it took a bit too long to get back to it. But firstly, let's actually look at the main characteristics. So wow and flutter in here is less than 0.2%, frequency range for ferric tapes is between 40 and 12,500 Hz, and for chrome tapes it is from 40 to 16,000 Hz. And what I want to mention from here is the dynamic noise reduction system Mayak. On the front panel we have our power button, headphone socket which is a bit larger, eject buttons here and here, play button, rewind button, stop button, fast forward button, a button which I will explain a bit later, play button for the deck B, rewind, stop, fast forward and record button. Further to the right we have tape counter, indicator of engaging chrome tape mode for deck A and B, volume adjustment for the headphone socket. Here we have our indicator for both level and right channel in decibels. And to the right we have our recording level adjustment, which can also be used to adjust volume while dubbing. And here we have a little hatch, which can be opened like this. And here is a little bit more stuff. So the first button is used if you want to play both decks one after another. This button in here allows for searching for the 0 on the counter. This means basically if you have to record something and you are testing how it works, you can push the reset on the counter in the middle of the tape, and when you will decide that you have to re-record what you have done, you can simply rewind and the mechanism will stop at exactly this point. A button for the Mayak noise reduction system engagement, which we'll have listened to a bit later, and two buttons to engage chrome mode for both decks separately. And the next thing is actually recording bias adjustment, which is a bit unusual for the Soviet decks. And the last button is used for tape dubbing. We just push this to select deck A as a source. Dubbing a tape on this machine will look like this. First of all, we turn on record mode. It doesn't actually start recording immediately. We press the button to make deck A as a source. We start playing deck A to monitor the level and adjust it. And let's say we are fine with this. We get to the beginning. And after this, we simply press synchro start button. On the back, we have our power in, line in, mic in, and the microphone input has both left and right channels, so you can sound terrible in stereo. Line out and another headphones socket. All the sockets in here are DIN5 as usual, except for the power in, of course, which is a bit of a weird socket actually, and the cord has the fuse in it, but mine was blown. I didn't have a replacement, so it has this ugly solution. We can see our decks and buttons below them. These are the levers to eject. On top here we can see electromagnets which engage modes. So if I manually engage one of them, you can see that play mode engages. Here we can see our really basic mechanism. Erase magnet, it's an electromagnet tape head which was replaced at some point. Everything in here is original except for this tape head. Here we have basically the same stuff, but instead of the erase magnet we have something called dummy head. And here we can see the original tape head, which is monolith D821. It's a bit different from this one. Also both doors are supposed to have soft eject, but all the special lubrication leaked out or dried away, so it doesn't really work. Behind this tape counter we can see the belt, which is going to a little wheel, which is used for auto stop. And the other deck had the same auto stop mechanism, but without the counter. And here we have our power transformer, to the left we have our control board. Here is the power socket and basic power supply. And what's interesting in here is the construction of the board. What was really common for the Soviet electronics is building everything in these blocks. So for example, let's say we have this board broken and we can repair it more easily without having to disassemble everything to take it. And it was really handy to replace all these capacitors. So this board is for indication and headphone socket amplification. These two boards are identical, and these are noise reduction system boards for the left and right channel, and the rest of the board is for moving the signal around, amplifying it, working with the inputs, and so on. And down here we have our switches and circuitry for recording. Now, talking about the mechanism itself, here again we can see massive electromagnets here, 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 and deeper into the mechanism, and we can see two massive flywheels. They are identical and they're both balanced, and they're actually hollow inside, but they're pretty heavy anyways. And we can see two flat belts. As soon as I turn power on, the motor will start spinning. Despite the machine having a really big AC motor, it's pretty quiet, but of course, to achieve that you will have to drop some motor oil into the liter breathing holes. But how did they actually manage to make this big mechanism use only two belts? Well, it's really simple. They just used few little rubber wheels, which engage with the flywheels to rewind, fast forward, and in playback as well. Another advantage of this mechanism is the speed of moving the tape. So here we have 90-minute TDK tape. So that took only 1 minute and 10 seconds roughly, which is pretty impressive. And as a little conclusion, before we have a listen, if you decide to get one of those, sure, the mechanism is reliable and simple, but electronics in here will definitely need all the capacitors replaced. Some transistors might lose parameters, and so on. Secondary, the sound is not even worth digging into the repairment. You can replace the tape heads and it will sound better, but for the same price there are better options, which will also need repairs, but they will provide more features as well.
Субботний вечер, и вот опять я собираюсь пойти потанцевать. Я надеваю штиблеты и галстук-шнурок. Я запираю свою дверь на висячий замок. На улице стоит ужасная жара, но я буду танцевать буги-вуги до утра. Я люблю буги-вуги. Я люблю буги-вуги. Я люблю буги-вуги. Я люблю буги-вуги. Я люблю буги-вуги, я танцую буги-вуги каждый день. Но что-то не так. Ты просто одинок. Так вот, и тут я совершаю телефонный звонок. Я набираю твой номер, я говорю тебе привет. Мы не виделись с тобой 40 000 лет. Если тебе нечем вечер занять, то почему бы нам с тобой не пойти потанцевать? Ты любишь буги-вуги. 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 Ты танцуешь буги-вуги каждый день. мне на линя, любви не меняли, вы мило молили, в туманы лимана манили меня. Мы любим буги-буги, 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 мы танцуем буги-буги каждый день, буги-буги каждый день, ага, буги-буги каждый день, ага, буги-буги каждый день, ага, буги-буги каждый день. Мы любим буги-буги, мы танцуем только буги, мы любим буги-буги, мы танцуем только буги, мы любим буги-буги, мы танцуем буги-буги каждый день.